Hello, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a blood bag for Alien Romulus for y'all today. So, this movie serves as the 7th feature-length film in the Alien franchise, with this one being a prequel taking place in between Alien and Aliens, much like how Saw X takes place in between Saw 1 and 2. But with this new Alien film, this follows a group of people trying to raid a supposedly abandoned space station to gather parts so they can leave their shitty jobs. And, well, they find out it's not abandoned.
Oh, it's not abandoned. So, I will be going into spoilers for this review, so if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, here are just my overall spoiler-free thoughts. So, I really liked this movie. It wasn't perfect, but we'll get into that. But, you know, that requires spoilers. But I still really liked it. Definitely the best one since Aliens. But it's not, to me, it's not as good as Alien or Aliens, but it's definitely the third best. So, you know, bronze medal ain't that bad. But yeah, I really liked this film. I think if you are an Alien fan, you will really enjoy it. So yeah, really good. I recommend it. And there you go. There's my spoiler-free thoughts. Now, let's get into the spoiler talk for everything, for my positives and negatives. So if you haven't seen the movie, you can click off. Or if you just don't fucking care, then we'll keep going. So the first positive I want to get into right away is I really like the relationship the two main characters have, the sibling relationship that our two main characters have, Rain and her android brother Andy. They have a really nice sibling relationship with each other that is just really wholesome, and it has a nice ending at the end of the movie. So I really like the relationship between the two main characters. Another positive is I love the look of this movie. It really does harken back to the look of the original film, and it pulls it off really well. But it pulls off the look of the original movie while still being its own thing. Like, there's a lot of really cool original shots that this movie crafted on its own. It doesn't lift everything from the original film. Specifically, the shots in space look really good. And it makes you wonder, how does this movie have a smaller budget compared to most big blockbusters, yet it looks 1,000 times better? Makes you wonder. Then, my next positive, the effects are so good. I will commend Fede Alvarez heavily for going with practical effects over CGI, because they look a lot better. The xenomorphs look so good on screen. Like, they look as good as they did in the original quadrilogy, which the original quadrilogy also used practical effects mainly. Like, they look just as good as they did in the early in Alien and Aliens. They look just as good as they did in those two films. And for the minimal CGI use they have throughout the movie, it's really good CG for when they have to use digital effects. None of it looks wonky. It's solid CG throughout, which I know is rare now, apparently, for big movies, because apparently most big movies will have really wonky shots of CG. So, you know, it's nice to have a big movie not have any wonky CGI. Now, speaking of CGI, I guess I should probably talk about the elephant in the room with this movie. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen Romulus yet, but they bring back the android from the original Alien. Ash, who was played by the late Ian Holm. So they bring his character back. Well, it's technically not Ash because Ash dies in Alien, but they bring an android that looks like him because it's supposed to be the same android model. So they CGI'd Ian Holm to be in the movie. Now, a lot of people were mad about this, and like, I get it, but to me, it wasn't that big a deal. Like, as long as they asked like his family if they could use his likeness, it shouldn't be that big a deal. And also, this isn't the first time movies have done this, Star Wars. But like, it wasn't that big a deal to me. But I can understand why people would be upset with it. But to me, it wasn't that big a deal. But I was surprised with how much screen time he gets in the movie, though. I thought it would have been like a quick cameo and then that's it. But no, he actually has a lot of screen time in this movie. Now, on to my next positive. This movie is so, like, I think the one word to use to describe this movie is tense. You will be tense throughout this whole fucking movie. It is insane how suspenseful this film gets. There's two scenes specifically I want to bring up. The scene where the facehuggers first get released from the cryo lab. That scene where they're swimming through the water and you're waiting for them to pounce under their faces out of the water because they're also locked in, so you're waiting. So you know it's gonna go one of two ways. Either they're gonna get face hugged or they'll get out. But it's a very tense scene as you're waiting for Andy the android to get the door open while they're trying to fend off these facehuggers. Like, it's a tense moment. And the other scene it also coincidentally all involves the facehuggers, which the facehuggers get a lot of screen time in this movie compared to other Alien movies. But there's the scene in the film where they reveal how facehuggers can track people with sound and heat, because if you didn't know, they don't have eyes. So so they get into a room and they up the temperature to match their body temperature, and then they have to walk through the room as quietly as possible. And it is so tense. Like, in the theater, I physically felt my heart beating faster, or like I felt my heart rate go up, because you're just waiting for something loud to happen or for something just to go wrong. And it's a real good quiet, tense moment. Like, this is the scene that makes you realize the guy who directed this, Fede Alvarez, also directed Don't Breathe, which is another very quiet but very tense movie. So yeah, the suspense and the tension throughout this movie with the xenomorphs and facehuggers is great. I was on the edge of my seat with some of these scenes. And I think my final positive I have with Alien Romulus is I really like and appreciate it trying to combine pieces of different aspects from the Alien franchise as a whole. Like, you have the slow horror pace from the original Alien. You have the suspense and tense moments from Alien Isolation. You have the action from Aliens. You got the weird shit from Resurrection, but we'll get more into that later. But you also have this movie tries to bridge the gap between Prometheus and Alien Covenant to the original quadrilogy, because this movie brings in the black goo from Prometheus and Covenant, and they expand that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation wanted to experiment with this black goo to make some like weird super serum to help make humans evolve to survive the conditions of space. but well, it doesn't fucking work, and well, and I'll get to why, and I'll talk about that later. So, yeah, I do really like that it brings in a lot of aspects from the previous entries in the Alien franchise. And I do like the fact that it tries to bridge the gap between Prometheus and Covenant to the original quadrilogy. I do appreciate that a lot. Now, getting into my negatives, which I only really have 2 negatives with this movie. And besides Rain and Andy, the other characters weren't anything too special. Like, they range from, just serviceable characters to unlikable. Like, all the other side characters are fine. They're not too memorable, but they get their job fine. But they do the job fine. But there's one character in this movie that I just found to be so unlikable that I was happy when he fucking died. And it's the main guy's cousin, who I forget his name. I think it was like Brahmin. I don't fucking remember. But I'm just gonna call him Robo-Racist because he has prejudice against the synths, the androids, and they do give a reason why. But like, he's not developed enough to where you can sympathize with why he hates androids. You just kind of find him to be an annoying asshole throughout the whole thing, to the point where like you're happy he's the first person the xenomorph kills. Which, by the way, his death is fucking brutal, because he gets parts of his body melted off with the acid. And for the most part, this movie's also not too gory. I think it's I forgot to mention this earlier, but I think this movie's the perfect middleman between Fede Alvarez's previous horror movies, being Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake. Like, because it has the quiet, tense moments from Don't Breathe, mixed with some of the violence from Evil Dead. But it's not too violent, much like the other movies. Granted, there are 2 kills that are pretty fucking violent. One being the acid death, the Robo-Racist who gets melted by the acid, and then you have to have a chest bursting scene in there, and the chest bursting scene in this is great. I mean, you can't compare it to the original. Like, you just can't compare it to the original chest bursting scene. But the chest bursting scene in this one was pretty good. They make it a lot slower in this movie, so you can more revel in the little chest burster popping out slowly. That was pretty fun. But the other kill in this movie that's really fucking violent, probably the goriest in the movie, is the head bite. Because the main dude character gets impaled through the back with the xenomorph tail, and he gets lifted up to the xenomorph's face, and then, the second jaw comes and bites into his eye. Like, it goes straight through his eye, and that was fucking nasty. Probably the best kill in the movie. But yeah, back to the negatives. Yeah, the characters, they range from serviceable. The side characters range from serviceable to just unlikable. And my other negative I have with the film is the ending. It's not really a negative, it's more just something that I'm very mixed on. Because, as I mentioned, this movie brings some of the weird shit from Alien Resurrection into the film. And, by that I mean, they bring the newborn back, the xenomorph human hybrid creature. And, I think the newborn in this film looks cool, but I don't know if it necessarily needed to be in the film. Because, like, obviously they're doing the second climax that a lot of the Alien films have. I'm pretty sure the only Alien movie that doesn't have a second climax is Alien 3, I think. But, like I said, they're doing the second climax thing, where they reveal, like, an alien stowed away on the ship, and they have to take care of it, and, like, here, it's fine, but it feels really tagged on, like they had to include the second climax, where they really didn't. I think the movie could have ended fine with them getting off the ship, the space station and all that. I think that the movie could have ended fine there. But they included this scene with the newborn, and it just feels tagged on and like it didn't need to be in the movie. And they also, do the whole jettisoning the alien out of the ship to kill it. So the ending feels a little rehashy of the original and Resurrection. And you're either gonna like it or hate it, I think. Like the ending will probably make or break the movie for you. And for me, the ending, while not bad, it just felt tagged on. Like, it didn't need to be there. And, I think that's really all I have to say with this movie. So, putting it into the blood bag here, I'm going to give Alien Romulus a 90%. It has great cinematography, great effects, great sequences. The two main characters are really likable, and they have a really good relationship. And it's just fun. I think at the end of the day, it's just a fun time watching a scary movie. And if you are an Alien fan, I highly recommend you see it. I really liked it. So, yeah, that is my thoughts on Alien Romulus. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you joined my channel. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.